welcome to everybody here with us for what is going to be a very topical and very important discussion. As you all know, if you're all here today, it's because the fourth industrial revolution is well underway and it's having ripple effects across the planet, not least, of course, in the world of work. It's a story that we're going to be dealing with. It's about challenges, but it's also about opportunities as new technologies are transforming our society and the job market. It's one that's already entailing job losses around the world, and we've got industry experts with us who'll be talking to us about that, about the difficult decisions they have to make. You know, do they reskill, upskill? Do they decide to fire and hire new talent? Because what we're looking at is a world where we have emerging employment that we don't necessarily understand. We'll be discussing with the Dean here of the Indian Business School how he prepares his students. But we also have to prepare the younger students for this world of work, which is uncertain. And for doing that, we're also joined by Kathrine. I'll be introducing our guests in more detail in just a few seconds. But how you kind of prepare these youngsters for what is an uncertain future. And it's very much a grey area. Now, the World Economic Forum has been preparing some of the groundwork here, and I'd like to thank them for hosting this discussion. And it's identified, if anything, that this has to be a collaborative effort, an effort between business, government, educators, and, of course, civil society. But as I was saying, there is limited information available, and really, I suppose one of the crux issues here is the business case and whether there really is a return on investment when it comes to upskilling and reskilling employees. So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Isabel Kumar. I'm from Euronews. We've got a fantastic panel to help us unpick this issue. And let me begin right here by introducing Mr. Rajendra Srivastava. Now, he is Dean and Novartis Professor of Marketing Strategy and Innovation at the Indian School of Business. So he's preparing these bright young minds for this future of work. Then I'm delighted to have Kathrine Kirk Muff, who is Vice President of Social Responsibility and Engagement at the Lego Group, Denmark. So then if we rewind, these are the youngsters who she is helping prepare to teach them to learn how to learn, teach them how to prepare for a new workplace environment. Then on the coalface, in some respects, we have Swapan Johri, who is Corporate Vice President of HCL Technologies. And then giving us a global perspective, but also half inside looking in, is Loeb, who is Executive Vice President of Government Affairs at Salesforce. And Salesforce is committed to investing in the workplace, as is HCL Technology, so they have some very interesting stories to tell us. And at the end of this discussion, we're hoping to be joined by Mr. Mahendra Nath Pandey, and he'll make some closing remarks, and he's the Minister of Skills, Development and Entrepreneurship in India. Now, I'm upskilling as well, and I am going to be trying to use a new piece of technology that has been given to me. Well, it's probably not that new, but it's the first time I'm using it, by the World Economic Forum, and it's called Slido. So during this discussion, if you want to ask questions, you can bring them in as you go along, and you will be using the hashtag. Now, first of all, you have to go onto wef.ch Ask Now, so that's wef.ch Ask Now, and use the hashtag skills. And then, in theory, I should have these questions coming on my screen, and in theory, that should be working. Let's have a look. If Cody's here, I might ask for a little bit of help here, because it seems to have disabled itself. Anyway, let's get on straight away with this discussion. As I was saying, Swapan, now you are on the coalface, let's say. You are really in the thick of all of this. So as we're dealing with this very fast-changing environment, do you think the needs, your needs, those of your employees, are being met at the right pace of change when you look at this imperative?
Well, thanks, Isabel, first of all, and it's great to be on this panel on such an important topic, not just from a company perspective, but I think more from a social perspective. I personally believe, and I think most of my company, which is HCL Technologies, also has this thought, is that I think we're nowhere near the pace of skilling that it should be. From a company perspective, that's a great belief to have because then that urges us and pushes us to keep increasing that pace. So it sounds good from that point of view. But the reality is that even within organizations or outside in general in terms of our social frameworks, the pace is not good enough. And when I say the pace is not good enough, it's not just about picking it up from a technology perspective. It's not just about new technology. It is about how you do things, how standardized do you get with things, right? And how do you make them work in a manner which is repeatable, replicable, which can make it pervasive. Does somebody who's got it or mastered the art of a certain thing is able to then practice it in a way in which it can be passed on to somebody else, and therefore just increase that speed. So both from an individual, at an individual level, as well as at a macro level of an organization and the super macro level of the society, at least we don't see the pace being there.
Okay, so Rajendra, now if Swapan doesn't see the pace being there, now you're one stage before, you're teaching some of the brightest minds of India. The Indian Business School is the best business school in India, one of the top globally. So how are you preparing these young people, these young adults to enter the workplace?
Well, to be truthful, the Indian School of Business is in the business of reskilling. We take people with about 5 years of experience and then we build on that. But I spent a lot of time in the US and then Singapore before I came to India. And looking at the pace of change, let me just give you some stories about how this talent issue and the growth issue is a global issue. So just before I left the US, this would be about probably 2005, I was in Detroit and there's a school called Oakland University. They were going to close down the School of Nursing. And the hospitals were desperate because they need nursing talent. And there's a lot of burnout in nursing. And so the solution that they arrived at was that they would get the students, and American students didn't want to do it. So where did they get the students? They got the students from Kerala to serve ultimately the hospitals in the United States. And that particular story has kind of grown. And it is in that context I've made statements like India has a talent pool. And if we channel our resources targeting areas where, let's say, if we are looking at medical tourism, we could be at the top of the charts. The reality is Thailand is doing lots more medical tourism than India is doing. But India could do that. But if we look at, let's say, the Japanese society, it is getting old very quickly. So if you connect the dots, then the growth can be tremendous. And so if I fast forward, I went from the US to Singapore. I started in July 2008. That very month, I get a request from the Ministry of Education. This is just when the market was crashing, saying that we needed to do something. What is the solution they wanted? They wanted to bring in people who were losing manufacturing jobs. And the idea was to see if you could move them into banking or if you could move them into healthcare. So they came to the universities and said, look, if you develop a program, we will take care of 70% of the costs. And then they turned to the banks and the hospitals and said, if you give these same people internships, we will pay the first $2,000 per month of the internship. So here's a government looking at a solution. They've pointed the problem. They've seen the market crashing. They know that manufacturing is not going to come back to Singapore because it's too damn expensive. Labor is too expensive. So they're saying, how do we take care of this problem? All right. Fast forward coming to India, what we see is in India there's a lot of talent, but a lot of this talent is going abroad.
Yeah. So there's a brain drain because
There's a brain drain, and so what ISB started out is saying, look, what can we do to capture some of this talent before it goes abroad? So our program is really looking at people with 5+ years of experience. There's another layer, 10 years plus experience, another layer about 20 years of experience. So we're looking at really, solid people, and what we're doing is we're bridging the gap between theory and practice. So you need to look at both sides. So there's tacit learning, and there's what I would call tacit meaning experiential, and there's explicit learning, which is principles, etc., that are coming from the books.
So we'll talk about all of those because I'd like to broach these issues of learning later on in the panel. But if we're talking about learning, well, Kathrine, this is where you come into play. So as I was saying, if we rewind, if you are given a challenge, Rajendra, to reskill people from one very different job to another, they have to almost have a mindset that will allow them to do that. And I guess, Kathrine, this is where your work comes into play.
If I may actually take
Go
10
on
seconds
then.
and go
10
over to
seconds,
Kathrine.
no more.
We also run a program called Technology Entrepreneurship Program. And this is a program that ISB runs not for our students, but the students of about 22 engineering schools in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. What we do is we take students who are 3rd and 4th year engineering students, and what we do is teach them business management skills.
And you'll tell me about that after.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's because
so
I'd love to
scale
hear
is
that. But
important.
but and scale is very interesting because also if you talk about Singapore and India, it's very different scales as well. But I'd like to talk about. Let's bring in Kathrine.
Yeah, we come with our focus is, of course, how do we make sure that children grow up and get the breadth of skills that they need, and so they're ready to upskill or reskill. And so I think we all recognize that we have a global, not just crisis in terms of skills, but actually also in terms of learning. And it's very interesting, right? Because we all recognize that. It's a bit like we recognize the climate change, but it takes decades to get into action. We know that children are not developing the skills they need to be, the future citizens. We focus on the hard skills, on standardized testing, and they grow up and they do not have what we call the breadth of skills. They don't grow up and are critical thinkers, problem solvers, able to communicate and engage. And of course, I'm talking roughly, but that's what all the studies and insights show. So IQ has actually raised the last decades, but if you look at critical thinking or creativity, it's significantly dropped.
And I assume this is some of the reskilling that Raj was talking about when they joined the IES.
Well, there's learning by doing.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't just learn everything from a book.
Yeah.
No. And that's the issue. That's how we teach children today, mostly overall. And I mean, the world has changed. We have robots, internet, artificial intelligence, and so forth, but we still educate children the way we did when we grew up. And that's a big issue. We need to fundamental change the way, the learning environment around children. And it's not just the formal education. It's at homes. Children, they spend 20% of their time in school. The rest is at homes or in the communities.
So
it's
what
the
should
whole
we be
learning
doing at
environment.
home? Any parents here are probably wondering, what should we be doing
but
at home
that's the
to
whole.
our kids?
We should play more with our children. So what we work for is the play-based pedagogy, and it's activity-based. You can call it many things. Some people, when we talk about play, I'll play sports, or play leisure. No, that's the way children learn. Intrinsically, when you're born, you learn through play. It's the best way. You're motivated, you're engaged, you dare to fail, you take risks, and so forth, right? So at home, and we actually have programs, parenting programs, because parents, if they do not bring more play to their children, help both push for an educational change, so the formal education change, but also bring or foster more play at home, this change will not happen. So we have various programs where we try to inspire parents around how they can easily, and you don't need to live and be fortunate maybe to have Lego bricks or other play materials. You can play in the kitchen, you can play in the the local park or whatever. You can find trash and make boats out of it. There's no limits to what you can do with your children. And that's what we're also trying to do. But we recognize that you need to work with all the stakeholders. It's the parents, it's the school systems policies, it's teachers, it's curriculums. It's quite a big effort. But we definitely need to start acting more.
And Eric, let's bring you in here because I know that the issue of education in India is important to Salesforce. So just tell us a little bit about what you're doing in terms of that.
Glad to. But before I do, I just have to share, Kathrine has the greatest business card that I've ever seen in my life. So, lifelong play and lifelong learning. Just kudos. I enjoy this forever. So to start, I thought it would be helpful not just to frame the skills gap issue in India, but perhaps globally, and also perhaps sharing a corporate perspective. There's an element, of course, that is CSR, and from a Salesforce perspective, we engage with the public schools and the communities where we are, because this is, of course, the pipeline. But what I would highlight as well is it's deeper than that. It is a matter of core strategic imperative for a company. If you are optimistic about your future as a company, and you're optimistic about your needs over time to grow, then you need to think about this as a core competency, a core part of your strategy of long-term future pipeline of talent. And that's certainly from a Salesforce standpoint, how we think about it. There's another part about it as well, from our framing, and then I'll get into some of the details. There's an alignment of values. So our company, it's an enterprise software company, but we're driven by 4 values, and they're trust, customer success, innovation, and equality. And educational inclusiveness touches all of those. If you're not bringing in and cultivating diverse talent, then you're certainly not advancing equality, but you're not advancing innovation, you're not advancing trust in your society, and you're not helping with your customers ultimately. So these really are core strategic imperatives when we think about it. And here in India, the need's really clear. This panel, and also I will just make a plug for the forum, which has a skills task force focused on India. And the reasons are statistically pretty clear. It's just under 5% of the workforce here that has had formal skills training. Just around 7% of the population has college, university access. So we're talking about a vast amount of talent in society for which the traditional educational paths have been unaffordable or unobtainable. I'm a huge fan of the traditional education path, but it's clear we need to have supplements or alternatives, not only for lifelong learning, but frankly, fundamental learning, and alternative approaches for which the formal path, again, is unattainable or unaffordable. And I'll talk a little bit later about that, but one last point that I'll make as to why this is existentially important to a company like us. Outside the US, India is our largest workforce location. As we project into the future, and independent studies have said, not just Salesforce employees, but the broader ecosystem, which includes HCL and others, that there could be 1 million jobs in the next few years created that require Salesforce skills. And so if we're actually going to be able to grow into that, there has to be a skills gap solution for it. So that's perhaps a bit expansive of a discussion, but I really want to make the point here, not just for Salesforce as a company, but I think quite a lot of companies should be thinking about the skills gap issue and the solution to it, not as a peripheral thing and nice to do, but a very central part of your strategic planning for the future.
Well, at which point I'd like to bring in Swapan, because we were just discussing earlier about this and how you have brought this right to the center of your strategy. And what I would like to know is, in terms of investment and profitability, how have you factored all that together?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with what Eric said. It is central to the strategy, and you have to take a much broader view to it, than probably what is taken today. I think from in HCL Technologies, or for that, probably in every other IT company of scale, what we believe is that the whole problem of skills is made by us, and it is for us to resolve. at least in our space, right? And why I say it is made by us is that I think over the last 10, 15 years, and I'm not referring to Salesforce. There has been a lot of unstructured innovation, or you can say innovation which is being done because it's going to yield something which is very nice from a technology perspective. These fantastic outcomes. But what has not been thought through along with it in advance, is what skills will you need to make it really work. Right, so that's what is. So you've got the technology in, you've got the new stuff in, you've got customers who are now almost salivating to get that in, but you've not got the skills over there. So I think what we've done, first of all, is to realize that this will keep happening, and the pace of innovation has just been going up and up, right? And while I may crib about it, but I can't stop it, right? So it's something that is going to happen. And therefore, what we've started looking at first is to be proactive about what skilling we're doing in the technology space. So working with a company like Salesforce, or for that matter, many other technology companies, know what's going to happen, kind of predict it a bit, and work towards skilling people or reskilling people in a large measure to do that. So that is one. Two is, I think, what I feel, and again, I'm not representing an organizational view on this, but probably maybe it could be too. Is skilling is a lot about the individual person. I mean, the person itself has to be committing to the skilling and the reskilling, right? I mean, no matter how many programs that I bring up, which will allow for skilling to happen or for people to pick it up, if you don't have it in you that you must skill and take it up, it's not going to really happen.
And does that reskilling, how do you take it? Is it mostly hands-on reskilling, as Raj was saying, or is it more theoretical when you kind of get down to it?
Oh, for us, it's definitely more hands-on. So we would have labs, we would have centers where you could come and practice. There has to be some theory to it. You would do a classroom session, but then you'll basically promote a lot of hands-on skilling. In fact, I'll go one step further. For us, it is very business-driven too. So today, when customers hire people, or let's say they want to hire me in their project, what they do is not the old style of doing a questionnaire. And again, we've gone and kind of created this mechanism. So there's nobody who will interview you. The so-called classical interview is
so
about to get obsolete. Yeah. So I'll bring you a very interesting concept. So we do hackathons for hiring, right? Also, to Kathrine's point about kind of skills that you need, not just technology, but critical decision making, teamwork. So especially in the technology world, a lot of hiring today is a squad hiring, right? So it's about a set of people working together to produce something, right? So instead of hiring an individual, you hire a squad. And you don't hire a squad only by checking the theoretical credentials or doing a few questions in an interview. You actually put a problem there and say, go ahead and solve this in 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever you think is the right time. And depending on how fast this solved, what's the quality of the output, you decide, hey, this squad's better than the other squad, and you hire the squad, right? It's catching on. It's not that this is the thing that's happening, but it's definitely catching on. We've done this with at least 7, 8 clients, and it's an extremely successful mechanism, that's there. So therefore, it has to be hands-on.
I'd like to be in Kathrine because I can see you nodding. Well, what do you think about that?
No, but I recognize it, and we hear it from different companies. It's a way to do it, and we also do it ourselves in certain situations, right? Now, I'm just nodding because I think that shows exactly that when you come to a situation like that, right, you need to be able to work in that group, to be curious, to be brave, to lean into the dynamics, to find the solutions, come up with them, and so forth. It's not just coming with your credentials of, I went to this university, this is my grades. It doesn't really say anything about how capable you are of bringing your competencies into play.
But what about the older workforce? Is there not a fear that then the older workforce is going to get left behind in these type of situations?
Not really, because that's exactly what we're doing. A lot of the work at ISP is teamwork, it's problem solving. It's not, here's a math problem, go solve it. Here's a problem situation involving government, labor, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a lot of case study work. So what we're doing is we're blending case study kind of research, experiential learning, along with the principles. Sometimes what we do is we give them the problem first, let them have a crack at it, and then we give them the framework that they have learned themselves in the process of solving the problem. So one of the things that happens is when I run into people who've hired our students and they learn I'm from ISP, the first thing they say, oh my God, we love your students. I said, why? Oh, they can get something done. Okay, so this ability to get things done, the ability to integrate information from a team and work together to solve a problem is often what is needed at the upper levels. But at the, when you can't, we're talking about reskilling people who are already 30 years old. But you take younger people, I think they need exposure to experiential learning. So a good example is Indian Institute of Management, Indore. And what they did was they were doing only postgraduate programs, and they've combined undergraduate and postgraduate. And the students are spending, in over a 5-year period, they get a bachelor's and a master's, but they spend the equivalent of a year and a half working for a company. And that blend of theory and practice is, I think, what is important. Another school of note, IIT Gandhinagar, it's a new IIT, but they're doing similar things. So what we have to do is we have to change the narrative from rote learning, which is what we've done for decades and decades, to actually getting people to understand things. Because what is happening as we go along, people are going to have to go through 4, 5, 6 different jobs, maybe more than that, over the course of their career. So it really helps them if they're ambidextrous.
Yeah, well, you're teaching to the converted, I think, in some respects when it comes to Kathrine, because rote learning is definitely a thing of the past, and I think it has been for
sure.
decades in terms of Lego.
I think it was just an interesting question around, what about the older part of the workforce? And just to bring in an own perspective of that, I also read a research, and I actually don't remember where it's from, but it's actually sometimes actually the creativity, the innovative solutions actually comes from, you can say, the older workforce. I don't know how we define that, right? But something happens actually when you get older. So I think it doesn't matter. It's not a question of age. It's a question of whether you're a lifelong learner. Whether you are self-motivated and interested in continue learning.
And bringing those squads together, I suppose, if you bring squads together, there's a disparity of age groups, or do you keep it almost unilinear when it
doesn't
comes?
matter.
No, exactly.
It doesn't matter. It's all about the output, as Raj was mentioning. Yeah, and then to the point that Kathrine just made, I think, as I was saying, it is all about the individual learning capability. And learning technology is it's not like it's not a maths or arts issue, right? That I can't get maths at all, right, or I can't do arts at all. It's a question of, if you do want to learn technology, then age is not an issue at all. So we have lots of people who are already put in 20 years into doing a certain technology work, but they are more than happy to get onto what is current and what will count today. I think more than happy to take that.
So Eric, then in some respects, just drawing in on what everybody's saying, so if we're dealing with a very kind of uncertain landscape in the future of work, but there is almost a certainty there that's human nature. So it's those who are proactive, those who want to learn, who have the keys to success in this respect. And is that something that's reflected in the way you're bringing this narrative forward?
Yeah, well, it's a good point. You want to make the experience attractive, and so there are different ways you can approach this, but experiential, bite-sized, gamified approaches, that's certainly what we have found seems to get the most traction. Being a kind of a data-driven company, you know what works and what doesn't work by whether or not people are taking the courses or completing the badges. What Salesforce decided to do, based on what I set out before about knowing that there was a need to address a skills gap, was to create a platform for it. It's called Trailhead, and it started small and has really grown. It's now over 500 different badges, and there are hard skills and there are soft skills. Right? I think it's really interesting what was said before about soft skills. Like a lot of people, particularly if they haven't been in the formal workplace, don't know how to interview, don't know how to prepare a resume. So we found pretty quickly that it's not just about teaching someone how to be an application designer and giving them the certificates, but if they want to move from that to getting a job, they need some of the soft skills as well. So Trailhead, and this gets into some of the comments raised before about older workers who need to make an adaptation. We've created this platform. It's really taken off. There are now 1.4 million people who have not only completed badges, but about 25% of them have either gotten entirely new jobs or gotten promotions and pay increases from it. It's entirely free and has a whole community built around it so that people are encouraging each other forward. But you do need to determine, how is the information going to be not just attractive for people, but very relevant?
Yeah.
And it's in the relevance where we have seen so many examples, whether it's here in India, and I've met with some of the people when I've been here who they, for no charge, took this with their own motivation and time and leveraged the training into something that was effectively a certificate that they could use to apply for a job, and have just kept laddering off of that. And it's exciting to see.
It is exciting. And what's also exciting is that I have figured out how to use Slido. And I've got one question that I would like to pose to all of you, and this is going to be a quick fire round as we move the discussion. The question is, what are the new skills that are needed? So this is kind of putting you on the spot, but in a sentence each, can you each bring me a different skill that is needed to confront or to challenge head-on this future of work? I'll start with you, Raj.
Well, in management, the key thing is to get things done. And while everybody's talking about data being the new oil, meaning Facebook selling data to make money, for us the narrative is data is the new lubricant, new transmission oil. You can get your company working a lot better if it is based on insights that are then integrated with the framework. So I'm not talking about artificial intelligence, I'm talking about augmented intelligence, where you combine artificial intelligence along with theoretical frameworks.
Kathrine.
We, of course, talk about the soft skills, which is a set of skills. But if I should just pick one, I would actually say it's the skill of learning. It's a big skill, right? But I would say the skill of learning and de-learning and learning. So being
What's
a lifelong
de-learning?
learning.
'Cause you were
That
talking
is,
about
if you have learned a certain way to do things, it's a habit. We are all human beings. Then you need to kind of be able to kind of de-learn a process or methodology or way of thinking, and then learn it again. And I think that if I should, take one thing, that will be the skill. Yeah.
Learn to learn.
Yeah, that's a very important skill.
Yeah, absolutely is.
Yeah, I think so. I'll take on from what Kathrine said. I think that reminds me of an Alvin Toffler view, which is about, to learn, you have to first unlearn. That's one of the big things that he talked about. I think just taking a cue from there, one of the important things to do today, and I'll come to a more specific answer on with skills, but
you had a one-sentence answer. Let me remind you.
Oh,
to
is it?
this
Okay.
one.
All right. So then I think it's basically getting done, but getting done at speed is what is very critical today, right? You no longer have the luxury of thinking about it, going back home and deciding something. It's all here and now, right? So that skill is extremely important.
But also, if you made a mistake making a
You come back. Yes,
Exactly.
that's true. Yeah.
So mistakes are admissible still in this. Thank God for that. Okay, Eric.
Well, I'd highlight a soft and a hard skill. On a soft skill, I mean, clearly collaboration, working with others and across teams. But on a hard skill, we have to acknowledge that there has, in many instances, been a disconnect between, say, formal education and the world of work. And so that's part of what the programs like Trailhead are for, is to fill that gap and to make sure that someone is able to contribute immediate value. And that is, of course, relevant for them and their employability as well as for employers.
So if you give me 10
Yes,
seconds, I want to
you can have even more.
point. All right, thank you. So I think from a hard skill, what's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years from now, you have to be able to know as to how will you use an AI tool. Today an AI tool is meant for the programmers, is meant for those guys who are doing innovations, who's building it up. Like everything else in technology has pervaded all our lives, and it's gradually happened. AI in that manner will come in. So you should be able to pick up an AI tool and know how to use it to automate something that you do, right? It may not be done by somebody else, but you use that tool to do that. It will be required, again, going back to the speed point, because if you don't do it, somebody else will be doing it at a higher speed.
So if we just take a step back, so we've obviously taken quite a private sector view on this, but where do governments fit in terms of investment in this reskilling? Because obviously the onus of responsibility, you're taking a fair amount of it on yourselves. Do you receive the government support? Should there be more government support? Not necessarily only in India, South Asia, but maybe, Kathrine, you can talk about the situation in Europe and kind of globally.
Yeah.
So I put you on the spot. Let's go to Swapan. We have a little thought.
I was just reflecting on something Eric was saying.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, while we were talking, there's a thought that was running in my mind, and it's now connected with the question that you asked. I think, at least in India and in probably many more South Asian countries, skilling is essentially around skilling for business, right? I mean, the whole focus on skilling is when it's for business, and I'm not talking about the academic thing, which Raj would be dealing with. That of course is different, but for the most part, skilling and reskilling is all about. It's a business. It's a business by itself. And I think at a very broad level, and I'm probably making a nebulous statement, but I think the governments have not really looked at what can they do in a structured manner to ensure that skilling does not happen only for business reasons. You should be able to do more than skilling. So India has a program. It's called, I don't remember the name of the program. It's a PM-sponsored program around how you which encourages people to skill, and there are lots of centers that are opened up. But that's about it. I mean, it's just a thought. And again, all those centers that have opened up are all about essentially what money you earn from there. It's not about really what did you really produce from there. So I think the big thing required from the government is a little more structured thinking around what's the framework in which you should be doing skilling. Does the framework have to be map skill requirements to income groups? Does it have to be mapped to the kind of person you are? Are you urban? Are you rural? Are you a millennial? Are you something else? I think the government has to play a greater role in bringing this together as to what should be the policy that should apply for a country. And it's different. I mean, you go to Singapore, I think Raj was talking about it, they step in very quickly, right? But it's not possible everywhere. And therefore, for different places, you'll have to do it differently. But I think that's where you need to step in and do it differently.
The timing couldn't have been better. I'd just like to welcome the Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship of India, who's going to be making his closing remarks at the end of our discussion. But Kathrine and Eric, I'll begin by Eric, because
I'm ready now.
Ready?
That's fine. No, go ahead, Eric.
Perhaps just a complementary point on that. One of the things when you're working with government is sometimes when you're trying to look at it at a federal level, it's so complex because of the number of departments involved and the processes. And one thing we have found effective here is looking at the state level. So a location where we have a large presence is in Hyderabad. So we've worked with the Telangana Academy of Skills and Knowledge, and have found that in that framework where there's a pretty focused understanding of how we can work together, work with the colleges in the area. We've been able to take some of the things I talked about with the platform, as well as volunteers from our workforce to develop a partnership on education. And we have about 6,800 students right now that we're working with. So I just raised that as an example. Sometimes when trying to think of it at a federal level, the complexity is so high, so maybe go a bit more local to where you have presence and activity, and find something very concrete that you can engage on together.
That's interesting. Kathrine?
There's no doubt when it comes to learning, both the informal and formal in education or outside the formal institutions, governments are critical in terms of both, of course, the level of investment into a child's development, whether it's in school or it's in the early years. It's also, the willingness to be innovative in this space and really try to have a new perspective on what are the skills, so really know what are the skills that children need to develop. And it's both the hard skills, of course, they need to read and write and do math, but it's as importantly that we develop the soft skills, and that need to be very clear across policies, you could say. So that's, of course, a key role, but then very much innovating in pedagogy, so approaches to learning, so how the children learn these skills. And I mean, of course, there's no doubt when it comes to formal education, the governments are a very critical actor, but actually also in the informal learning environments, because it starts with the early health or development of children, where of course there needs to be some fundamental things about health and nutrition and all that. I mean, that's very fundamental, but also building into the systems how parents connect with their children in the early years and how they stimulate it, because it's actually both, we all know the first 1,000 days, but actually from the age of 3 to 5, that's the biggest opening in terms of developing the executive skills. And it's a bit devastating as a parent sometimes to know that you could have passed a chance. Luckily, you can repair some of it later, but if you get it right in those years, the chance of succeeding later on is just immensely higher.
Yeah, high stakes in that respect. I'm going to take a bit of a sharp turn now because I want to bring in another question that I've received on Slido, and it's an interesting question because what I think I'm discovering from this discussion is that this is so extremely broad and touches so many areas of life. And this question is, how will the slowing economic picture worldwide affect the needs for reskilling? Because that is likely to have a knock-on effect on so many areas as well, but particularly reskilling.
You're asking me?
I'm asking you.
Okay. So, well, I think we tend to look at skilling and reskilling as generic. And if I put on the India hat, what are the opportunities that we have? I made a comment earlier on that India could be a supplier of healthcare globally. And so if the government took targeted efforts and said, look, going down the line, we could be a global healthcare supplier, not only to people coming to India, but our workforce going globally. So if you look at Japan, even China, they've got a situation where you got one child, two parents, and four grandparents. So somebody has to take care of the grandparents, and it's not going to be that kid. But we need to look at narratives where we can play an important role. We could be also looking at how do we use technology to get around some of the problems that we have. When I take the United States, online learning really hasn't worked because they've got so many universities of note, and even you've got associated colleges, two-year colleges, and so on. There's lots of education opportunities. In India, we don't. And I think you'll see, just as in India, we saw the wireless phones, mobile phones leapfrog, or we've seen that we're using digital technologies to leapfrog the needs for credit cards, etc. I think we will see a much greater penetration for learning that is sitting on a digital platform, but it would be very good if the government can work with the private sector. So if the government and the private sector can together provide platforms in areas that it leads to jobs. Part of the problem is we have educational institutions now. Somebody with the economic problems coming in, they go to say, okay, I'm going to go to a school and skill myself up. But the problem is that the schools aren't really collaborating with industry. So companies like Infosys have to run Infosys Academy because people coming out of engineering school.
Yeah. So there isn't the infrastructure available.
Yeah.
So it's.
But what we need is industry-government collaboration with academia being the bridge.
Interesting. Well, listen, time is running out, sadly. So I would like to bring in, if anybody has questions from the audience, and we could bring it. Yep, do raise. There we go. We can probably only have time for a couple of questions, sadly.
So thank you, the panel. I'm Zaki from Singapore. I'm from the government, actually. And glad to see a couple of panelists talk about some of the programs that we've run. In actual fact, as well, I agree with all of you that the economic structure is important because you need to also find out what kind of skills that you have to train people in. At the same time, collaboration between government and industry is very crucial because you also want to make sure that the mapping is is done well so that the jobs are all created. At the same time, you train people the relevant supply of skills for those jobs and create an economic structure that could support not just upskilling, but a transformed economy that allows for the future of work. So my intervention is my question is really this, that we are setting up a future of work regional initiative in which we want to bring collaboration among, it's an invitation to India reps as well as India representatives as well as World Economic Forum representatives here who may wish to collaborate with us as we help bring in we would like to bring international experts down, as well as create a platform we can share best practices. At the same time as well, create an opportunity to help regional countries who could look at improving competencies as well as collaborative initiatives across not just within ASEAN, but also across Asia as well, including India.
So where's your question?
So my question is, it's an invitation actually. So for the panel to come on board, but at the same time, your views as well, and to, you may not be able to take on everything, but really in terms of upskilling, reskilling, where do you see economic structures and where governments could play a role in this? Thank you.
So a quick
Yeah.
response. It's interesting to see you reinforce a dialogue that we're already having with the Singapore EDB. I'm sure you might know a gentleman called Chinta. So, we've very recently also spoken to him about areas that we can proactively work and go beyond the shores of Singapore to do these kind of things. So I think, and I think that itself answers the question in a way. It's all about being able to align skills with what the government sees on a broader time horizon, as well as a broader regional view, than what is normally taken. So I think that's where if that thinking comes in, and if you play towards collaborating that, I think that makes a big difference.
Would anybody else like to touch upon this issue? I know we've talked a bit about government collaboration already, but if they've got any additional...
I think Singapore's... by the way, I spent about 8 years as provost at SMU, so I'm very familiar with Singapore. And around the time I left, which was about 4 years ago, what Singapore was beginning to do is work the way down from the university level to the poly level and then go lower. I think what is needed is not only skilling and reskilling at the upper end, but we need to come to the middle layer and make the workforce far more productive. And that at that time required more of a cooperation between universities and the polytechnics. In India, it would be the cooperation between the universities and the ITEs. I'll tell you a little story. This is from President Nath, who passed away about 3 years ago.
We have a tiny amount of time.
Just give you one very quick story. And he was asking me, he said, Raj, you go to India and you're trying to help with things out there. What is it you're trying to do? So I started giving him an explanation on how educational institutions could have an impact. He had this pained look on his face, and I said, sir, what did I say wrong? He says, Raj, you've got all these people who go to the Middle East, they come to Singapore, they learn welding, they learn this, they learn that, and these are skilled people, and now they've gone home. So why don't you let skilled people who have the skills teach other people who need the skills? Because sometimes the skills are not there in the academic arena. I mean, we live in a very high-level plateau, and when it comes to fixing, when we're talking about plumbing or air conditioning and all those kinds of vocational skills, we have the labor force. We have a huge number of people going to the Middle East and countries like Singapore. I think the Ministry for Education should tap them into teaching people practical skills.
Absolutely. As we're saying, it's a massive paradigm shift we're talking about here in some respects, because it's almost, it's rethinking the education process and how skills are picked up. Now, we've got time for one very brief question, if you can make it brief, and then the answer's equally brief, because then we'll be hearing from the Minister. Sir, if you go.
Hello, my name is Dipankar, and I'm a global shaper with the New Delhi Hub. Thank you to the panel for giving us exceptional insights this afternoon. A lot of you said that sometimes skills lie outside the academic arena. And somebody who's working like me in the career guidance space, I see a lot of students under tremendous stress when it comes to academics. So my question is, what can universities and schools do better to ease that pressure on a student and focus their admissions more on skills rather than just academics?
We don't do it on skills. We, of course, look at IQ, which is in GMAT or GRE. But a very important component is communication skills, some elements, some proof of teamwork in the past, some leadership elements. And more recently, we have started looking at HQ. If you ask me what is HQ, how is it different from EQ? HQ is for heart quotient. Are you just thinking about yourself, or are you thinking about society and what you can do? So we're beginning to look for that. So that has always been the case at ISB. We don't go just by the score.
Thank you.
Interesting. Well, I'd like now to invite the Minister to come to the stage. We're going to hand you a microphone, and I know you have a few words to say, so please join me in welcoming Mr. Mahendra Nath Pandey, Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship of India. You can all stay, you may stay.
No, I'm just welcoming you.
You could, as you wish, sitting or standing. Here, take my name so that you're no longer cool.
वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम में CII द्वारा जॉइंटली इस प्रोग्राम के बीच यहाँ हमारे गेस्ट ऑनरेबल पर्सन कैथरीन क्रिक मफ, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट लीगो ग्रुप डेनमार्क, स्वपन जौहरी और राजेंद्र श्रीवास्तव जी, स्वपन जौहरी जी, एरिक लोएब जी और हमारे जर्नलिस्ट सीनियर इसाबुल कुमार, अब CIA और इकोनॉमिक फोरम के और सभी अन्य सम्मानित लोग, सभी के प्रति मेरी तरफ से बहुत शुभकामना, बहुत बहुत आपका आनर है। आज के स्किल गैप एक्सीलेटर इशूज़ पर जो आप डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से मैं आप सबका वेलकम कर रहा हूं और आप सबको बहुत बहुत मेरी तरफ से अभिनंदन। कल मुझे आपकी एक जो छोटे ग्रुप की मीटिंग थी, मैं अपने कुछ छोटे भाई की अचानक परेशानी से, इलनेस के कारण मुझे अपनी यात्रा ब्रेक करनी पड़ी और मैं सीधे रिसेंटली वहीं से आपके बीच अभी आ रहा हूँ, बनारस से, जो मेरा नेटिव प्लेस है। आपकी चर्चाएं थोड़ी मैंने सुनी। हमारी सरकार ने इस दिशा में काफ़ी अच्छी पहलें की हैं और इसी बात पहले हमारे यहाँ इंडिया में स्किल मिनिस्ट्री की जगह स्किल डिपार्टमेंट डिफरेंट साइड में, कुछ फाइनेंस में, कुछ लेबर में, कुछ MSME के हिस्से में, ये सारे वर्किंग स्किल के बारे में होती थी। लेकिन ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने, जब वो गुजरात के CM थे, तो अपनी इंटरनेशनल विजिट के आधार पर ही उन्होंने इस बात की स्टडी कर रखी थी, चाहे चाइना की विजिट हो, सिंगापुर की विजिट हो या अदर कंट्रीज़ की, कि हमारी कंट्री में स्किल गैप बहुत ज़्यादा है। उन्होंने इस बात को फोकस करते हुए, जब वो भारत के प्रधानमंत्री बने तो सबसे पहले उन्होंने 2014-15 में ही स्किल मिनिस्ट्री का अलग से प्लान किया और उस पर उन्होंने फोकस किया। उसका परिणाम हमारे मंत्रालय में 4-5 वर्षों से जो ये सफ़र पूरा हुआ है, NSDC जो पहले फाइनेंस से जुड़ के इस काम को थोड़ा करती थी, उसको और बकअप किया। PMKVY, प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास योजना, ऑल ओवर कंट्री, उसने इस, आज मैं ये कहने में मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि हिंदुस्तान के हर कोने में स्किल गैप और स्किल देने की एक आम जनमानस में चर्चा आई है, जो कुछ, मेरी बात को गलत अर्थ में मत लीजिएगा, कुछ हायर स्टडीज़ और हायर लेवल के लोगों तक जो सब्जेक्ट था वो कॉमन पीपल तक पहुंचाने में हमारी गवर्नमेंट कामयाब हुई है। और उसके चलते हमारे नीचे भी राज्यों के स्टेट स्किल डेवलपमेंट मिशन और ITIs भी इसमें सराहनीय काम कर रहे हैं। अभी मोदी पार्ट 2 इंडिया में जो गवर्नमेंट बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त मैंडेट के साथ जो आई है, इसने कैबिनेट की इम्पोर्टेंट जो कमेटीज़ बनती हैं, सबसे पहले सुरक्षा आदि की सिक्योरिटी कमेटी, फॉरेन से जुड़े मसलों को, उसके बाद स्किल गैप को और स्टडी कर उससे आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कैबिनेट की भी एक कमेटी बनाई गई है, शायद उसको प्रायोरिटी सबसे अधिक दिया। इसके साथ साथ मैंने इधर देखा, जो हमारे पहले की पहले हुई थी उसमें भी थोड़ा रुकावटों को दूर करके, जैसे IAS हमारे सिंगापुर पैटर्न पर ही, जर्मनी पैटर्न पर ही हमारे देश में इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ स्किल्स की स्थापना करने का कॉन्सेप्ट ऑनरेबल मोदी जी ने दिया था। आप जानते हैं प्रक्रियागत कुछ कठिनाइयाँ होती हैं, वो सब दूर करके मैंने मुंबई में काम का शुभारंभ निर्माण करा दिया, अहमदाबाद और कानपुर में रिसेंटली अभी स्टार्ट होने की स्थिति है, ताकि एक वर्ल्ड लेवल का इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ स्किल्स बने। CI वगैरह इस सब चीज़ों में बहुत ही फोकस कर रहे हैं और ये हम लोग नए जॉब रोल पर भी इस देश में, जैसे जैसे आप लोगों ने जो अभी थोड़ी सी चर्चा मैंने सुनी कि आप स्किल की ज़रूरतें रिसेंटली हर कुछ वर्षों बाद जो बदल रही हैं, तो उनमें रीस्किलिंग और अप स्किलिंग की जो नई नई संभावनाएं हो रही हैं, उनको ध्यान में रख करके हम लोगों ने आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस हो, 3D प्रिंटिंग और साइबर टेक्नोलॉजी, इस पर भी ध्यान देना शुरू किया है। और अब हर जगह इस पर बल दिया जा रहा है कि सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन अपनी ट्रेडिशनल स्किलिंग के जो काम चल रहे हैं उसके साथ साथ इन पर विशेष रूप से काम करें। हम लोगों ने यहाँ हमारे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय गेस्ट हैं, उनको बताना चाहेंगे कि यहाँ शॉर्ट टर्म और लॉन्ग टर्म दोनों तरह के कोर्सेज हम चलाते हैं, जिससे अपनी ज़रूरतों को पूरा करते हुए आने वाला जो युवा है उसको अवसर मिले। अगर उसकी क्षमता लॉन्ग टर्म कोर्स करके आगे बढ़ने का है तो उसमें, लेकिन अगर वो अपने कामों में मसरूफ़ हैं तो उसे भी शॉर्ट टर्म कोर्सेज के माध्यम से भी स्किलिंग दे रहे हैं। और जो अभी जो रिपोर्ट्स आ रही हैं, और हम लोगों ने कुछ एक नया जो सेटअप रिकॉग्नाइजिंग फॉर प्रायर लर्निंग को दिया है, इसमें बड़ी भारी संख्या में 72 लाख से एबव लोगों को इंडिया में RPL सर्टिफाइड हम लोगों ने किया है। तो इसमें जो ट्रेडिशनल, ये कुल मिलाकर के हमारी कंट्री में ये चीज़ें पहले से भी रही हैं लेकिन सिस्टमेटाइज नहीं थी, जिसके चलते वर्ल्ड की कंपटीशन में हमारी परसेंटेज थोड़ा सा मानी जाती है कि हम 5% स्किलिंग हैं। लेकिन आज इस 5 वर्षों के सफ़र में हमारी ये सिचुएशन 5% से एबव, आज जो रिसेंटली कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशन आए हैं उसमें 8 से 10% तक लेवल तक हम पहुँचे हैं। लेकिन अगर हमारी ट्रेडिशनल जो अदर कंट्रीज़ में ट्रेडिशनल स्किलिंग को भी वो इंक्लूड करके अपनी स्किल कैपेसिटी या कैपेबिलिटी को काउंट करते हैं, अगर उसको हम आज कंसीडर करें, भारत के अंदर प्राचीन देश है, तमाम गांव से लेकर शहरों तक हर एरियाज का अपना अपना एक हुनर है, अपनी अपनी एक जीवन शैली है और ज़िंदगी में दिन प्रतिदिन काम करने की अपनी एक पद्धति है। उनको जोड़ा जाए तो हमारी स्वयं की उस परसेंटेज को तो हम 50 से 60% स्किल्ड पर्सन है देश में, लेकिन इंटरनेशनल मेथोडोलॉजी के आधार पर हम उसको सिस्टमेटाइज न करने के कारण हमारे बारे में धारणा बनती है कि हमारे यहाँ स्किलिंग गैप लंबा है। एक्चुअल पोजीशन ऐसी नहीं है, लेकिन हम और आप मिलके, और ख़ास करके इसमें CIA और हमारे जो इसमें इंटरनेशनल जो एक्सपर्ट्स बहुत ही अपने अपने देश में वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम के माध्यम से इन लोगों का बड़ा रिनाउंड अपना अपना प्लेस है। इन सब के क्षमताओं का सदुपयोग करके हम उस सिस्टम को, उस लेवल को और मॉडर्न सेटअप के साथ अपग्रेड कर सकते हैं। उस दिशा में हम लोग कार्यरत हैं। आज हम लोगों ने, इतनी बड़ी हमारी कंट्री है, हमने इधर जो 3-4 महीने में एज ए मिनिस्टर मैंने जो स्टडी किया है, इसमें मैंने जो स्टडी किया उसमें फील किया, मैं आपको शेयर करूंगा। और मैं शेयर करने के साथ साथ आप सब हाईली इंटेलेक्चुअल लोगों का कोऑपरेशन भी चाहूँगा थ्रू वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम और थ्रू CIA। तो इसमें CII के थ्रू और वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम के थ्रू, ताकि हमने इधर देखा, फील किया 4 महीने के ऑल ओवर कंट्री जितनी मेरी विजिट हो पाई है, कि एक तो हमारे पास बहुत ही अच्छी क्षमता के ITIs और NSTIs हैं। हम उनका यूटिलाइजेशन करके इस स्किल गैप को मॉडर्न सेटअप, उनको मॉडर्नाइज करते हुए, उनका स्टैंडर्ड अप करते हुए, उसका अभी हम उसको यूज करेंगे और उस दिशा में आगे बढ़ेंगे। अभी प्रोफेसर श्रीवास्तव साहब को मैं सुन रहा था, इन्होंने चाइना का जो एग्जांपल दिया एजिंग प्रॉब्लम को लेकर के, हमारी हॉस्पिटलिटी और हमारी केयर करने में जो हमारी कैपेबिलिटी है, उस दिशा में भी हम लोगों ने जापान के संग करार किया है। हम चाइना के संग भी उसमें आगे बढ़ने के लिए हम सोच रहे हैं उसमें, और क्योंकि ये हमारे पास जो यूथ है उसको हम विद इन इंडिया और ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड हम उसे वर्किंग फोर्स बनाने का नरेंद्र मोदी का सपना है। उस सपने पर हमारी मिनिस्ट्री आगे बढ़ रही है। और हम इस समय जो हमने फील किया कि हम इंडिया के मेट्रोपोलिटन सिटीज़ तक, उसके बाद थोड़े से और जो स्टैंडर्ड शहर हैं उन तक तो ये चर्चा ले जा पाए हैं, लेकिन हमारा देश अभी भी इतने बड़े शहरीकरण के बावजूद, शहरीकरण करते करते अब हमारी इंडिया की शहरी आबादी 30% से क्रॉस कर रही है, लेकिन अभी भी 65 से 70% के बीच की आबादी, इस लेवल की आबादी गांव की है। और गांव में भी छोटे कस्बों का एक छोटा शहरी रूप हो रहा, वहाँ इस स्किल की बहस को, स्किल की ज़रूरतों को ले जाने की ज़रूरत है। और हम अभी रिसेंटली हमने ऑल ओवर कंट्रीज़ के हमने मिनिस्टर्स की अभी 4 दिन पहले मीटिंग की थी, उनके सामने हम 3-4 प्रकार के टास्क हमने दिए हैं कि हम रूरल लेवल तक कैसे इस स्किल के गैप के सिस्टम को ले जाएं, और हम रूरल और डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पर इसका सेटअप तैयार करें। केवल दिल्ली में बैठ के और इंटरनेशनल डिस्कशन के साथ, वो भी ज़रूरी है, उसका हम बहुत रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं और ज़रूरत है उसकी, लेकिन उस डिस्कशन को नीचे डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पर और डिस्ट्रिक्ट के नीचे जो लेवल है जहाँ हमारा युवा है, जिसको वहीं ऑन द प्लेटफॉर्म हम उनको स्किल गैप उनका दूर करके, उनकी स्किलिंग रिस्किलिंग करके उनको हम जॉब का प्लेटफॉर्म और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के मेथड से हम उनको उद्यम लगाने का प्लेटफॉर्म दे सकते हैं, तो वहाँ तक ले जाना है। इस पर अभी हम राज्यों के संग और ये प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशन के संग डिस्कशन हमने शुरू किया है, और उसको एक बहुत जल्द उसको एक शेप में लाने वाले हैं। इसके साथ साथ हम ये जो अपना ये तमाम हमारी देश की जो संस्थाएं हैं उनको भी इसमें इन्वॉल्व कर रहे हैं। सबसे बड़ा हमने ये फील किया कि हम जो कई देशों में स्कूल एजुकेशन के संग जो स्किलिंग लिंकअप है, उस हमारे यहाँ भी थी, लेकिन उस पर फोकस कम था। हम उसे भी फोकस करेंगे, और हम अपने यूथ को, अपने चिल्ड्रंस को हम चाहेंगे कि वे अपनी ट्रेडिशनल जो भी उनका एजुकेशन है, उस एजुकेशन के साथ ये स्किल के जैसी जिसकी रिक्वायरमेंट, जैसी जहाँ सिचुएशन हो, शॉर्ट टर्म या लॉन्ग टर्म कोर्सेज को साथ लेके चलेंगे। तो इसमें भी एक कंट्री का जो यूथ हमारा सेटअप है उसको हम बहुत अच्छे रूप में ले जाएंगे। हम आज इस अवसर पर आप सबके बीच जो आए हैं, उसको हम चाहते हैं कि इसमें तमाम जो प्राइवेट कंपनियां हैं और वो स्किल फोर्स करने में और अप्रेंटिसशिप और ट्रेनिंग प्रदान करने में हमें कोऑपरेट करें। हम उनको आपके इस फोरम के माध्यम से इनवाइट करते हैं, और आज आप सबकी चर्चाओं को जो यहाँ हो रही है, मेरे इस टीम से जुड़े लोग और हमारे यहाँ लगातार CII के टच में रहते हैं, और वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की मैंने थोड़े जितनी जानकारी प्राप्त की है, आप लोग भारत के अंदर और दुनिया के अंदर बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, और मैं आपको अगेन थैंक्स के साथ आपका वेलकम करता हूं कि आप लोग इंडिया की स्किल गैप को भी कम करके एक आगे उसमें बढ़ने के लिए आपने इतना एक डिस्कशन किया है। थोड़ा आपका फोरम बहुत दिनों बाद मिल रहा है, मेरे पास जो जानकारी आई है। मैं तो चाहूँगा कि आप जैसे इतने स्टैंडर्डाइज लोग, इतने वर्ल्ड लेवल के लोग थोड़ा बीच में और ज़्यादा मिला करें, तो आपकी चीज़ें जो है नीचे तक आएगी और हमारी मिनिस्ट्री को बहुत सा इनपुट मिलेगा, जिससे कि हम नीचे और बेहतर करने में कामयाब होंगे। मैं एक बार पुनः यहाँ जो अदर कंट्रीज से आए हैं उन लोगों को विथ रिस्पेक्ट उनका वेलकम करता हूँ, और मैं एज ए स्किल मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया मैं आपको ये एश्योर कर रहा हूँ कि आपके डिस्कशन से जो भी चीज़ें निकल के आ रही हैं उसको हम अपने मिनिस्ट्री के और अपने मिनिस्ट्री के जो सेटअप है उनके माध्यम से यूज करते हुए हमारे ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर की जो प्रबल इच्छा और सोच है कि हम भारत की युवा आबादी को हम अपनी संपत्ति समझते हैं, हम कोई मजबूरी नहीं समझते हमारी आबादी को, हम उसे अपनी संपत्ति समझते हैं, और वर्ल्ड में हम अपने यूथ को वर्ल्ड की वर्किंग फोर्स और इंडिया को स्किल कैपिटल वर्ल्ड की बनाने के प्रयास में लगे हैं। उसमें आपका डिस्कशन, आपके सुझाव बहुत ही हमें सहायक होंगे। सभी को आदरपूर्वक नमस्कार, धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, Mahendra Nath Pandey, the Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship of India. Thank you so much for joining us on the panel. And please, also, we've run over time now, but please join me in thanking our wonderful speakers who've made this discussion so lively and so interesting.